everybody. How's it going out there? It is that time once again for another episode of the NBP Show. And as always, I am your host, Commissioner Daltmick, bringing you the latest action here in NBP. So let's get the guitar out of the frame here, get it up on the stand, and then we can get right into the action of NBP. This was week 6, coming off of interconference, interdivisional play. We're going back to the divisions here. We have all of the teams back in their respective divisions, and we'll start off in the old world with the Cold Hearts. We have Dan Boy XD and Isha's Finest Warriors, the Wood Elves, up against JG 1357, the Necro Halloween Plebs. This is the second game here in NBP action for Dan Boy. And we see Isha's Finest Warriors stepping out onto the pitch and looking to grab yet another win here in NBP and try to keep it close up against this bash-heavy, very agile Halloween Plebs team. We saw the Wood Elves taking their space and attempting to kind of spread out and keep themselves out of tackle zones, but it wouldn't really work out for them as the Halloween Plebs were able to catch up to them, not only catch up to them, but also score in the process. In fact, score twice. We saw the Halloween Pleb players running all up and down the field as they pleased and banking 2 touchdowns. But not a bad display here by Dan, who's only been playing a few months, if even that long, in NBP, well, Blood Bowl in general, and this is only his second pro match. I think he put up a good show. He just did not have enough gas in the tank on the Wood Elves there to put any touchdowns away, and that's just fine because he's getting reps here. So we'll see more of him next season and the remaining 2 games of the season. We got 2 games left after this, so the playoffs are still pretty open for most of the division. They're kind of sealed away for some, but there are definitely some freak accidents that could happen in the meantime in these last 2 games that shake divisions up. But that does cement first place for the Halloween Plebs at a Cold Hearts division. Kind of locks things up there for them, at least for the next 2 weeks. They'll have another game up against Wapley Wanderers next week, and then after that, they will take on the Pollinaire Keg Killers in the last week of the season, which will probably be the decider of their division, as the other teams can't really catch up to them. So it's kind of first and second battling for the playoff spot out of Cold Hearts. And speaking of first and second, we have fourth and second place. We have S130 South's Wapley Wanderers up against Bubba Tattoo's Pollinaire Keg Killers. The Dark Elves up against the Dwarf Squad with 9 league points. They are going head-to-head here. 2 bash teams, but it's definitely one team a little more bashy than the other, as, you know, the Dark Elves are elves, and they like to be agile on top of the little bit of bash that they have. And they would display a little bit of both, as you would expect from a Dark Elf team. They managed to score a touchdown up against the Pollinaire Keg Killers, and also, knock down a few dwarves. Knock down a few dwarves, and then score a touchdown. And then the Pollinaire Keg Killers, though, would manage to score 2 touchdowns in this game. They would bash and have their way with the Dark Elf squad, getting the ball very effectively up and down the field, making it a 2-1 victory for the Dwarfs in this matchup. And again, cementing second place there for the Keg Killers. The Keg Killers will move on to next week, where they will play Isha's Finest Warriors. They will play the Wood Elf squad there and hope to further their league points here in the season. That wraps up Cold Hearts for us. We're going to move on up the division ladder here for Beheaded Kings, where we'll start it off with NBP Park Life up against, wrong division. I'm sorry. Orion Magics, first place Orion Magics, the Wood Elf squad, coached by Pong Hines, up against division rival Boxing Clever. The Orc squad, coached by Wheelie365, former NBP Pro champion. These teams are vying for first place. They are battling to try to get that playoff spot out of Beheaded Kings, and both will probably be in the wild card spot depending on, who wins and loses. Contention of the wild card spot. I'm not quite calling that one because the division is all over, the conference is all over the place. But speaking of all over the place, we had Wood Elves doing just that on the pitch, getting the ball where they needed it, passing, dashing, even a little bit of leaping in a 2-1 victory against the Orc squad here. That is going to cement their first place spot. But we're still going to see a possibility of Wheelie grabbing some league points in these last 2 games here as they finish out the season and look to get that playoff spot. Because again, anything could happen, and Beheaded Kings is still locked up pretty tight here because Ponghines has 10 league points and Wheelie has 7 after that. So we could see some point gains in this last 2 weeks of the season, and we'll have to see who grabs the division title and the playoff spot here in the coming 2 weeks. We'll move up to a bag of chodes, Blake Nuts 666 and his dwarf team taking on Small and Mighty, the ogre team coached by Kodak Cookie. And Small and Mighty doing what they've done best this season. Surprisingly, they have scored in most of their games. The ogre team has came out and showed that they know how to run an offense. It's just once those Nobblars start falling down and getting pulled off the pitch that they don't have the manpower to keep moving the ball or stop the other team from moving the ball. As my dog runs across the floor here, you may hear his nails clacking on the hardwood. But yes, a bag of chodes. They managed to score as well, and then also score another time, securing a 2-1 victory against the Ogre team and tying up second place of Beheaded Kings. So another team with 7 points here. So Blake Nuts and Wheelie are heading towards a crash course collision in the last 2 weeks of the season to see which of these 2 teams can potentially overthrow Ponghines' spot at the top of the division. So any of these 3 teams we'll see in the playoffs or potentially even a wild card spot. The conference is still pretty open for wild card, so we'll just have to see how it plays out there. Kodak Cookie is going to be mathematically eliminated, though. He's only got 2 league points and not enough time to catch up past 10. But he could still play spoiler here. He could, he could finish out with 2 wins. He could grab 2 wins at the end of the season and mess up some seasons for the other folks. And that would be a small prophetic victory for them there, grabbing some wins as the Ogre squad. That's going to square away our Beheaded Kings matchups. We'll go on down to Ancient Empires. Ancient Empires is where we're going to see Matt Zucador's Yu-Gi-Oh! The Skaven taking on former NBP champion, Legend T969, and the Nagarath Bolts. They're going head-to-head here. 2 agility teams with the ability to bash going face-to-face in the NBP-Pro pitch. We would see, we would expect to see Yu-Gi-Oh! And their one-turner come out and do just that in the game. See the other gutter runners run up and down the field, grab a few touchdowns, and, of course, see the Storm Vermin knock some players out or maybe kill somebody. But we did not see that from Yu-Gi-Oh! In this game. This game was all Nagarath Bolts. The Dark Elf squad here in Ancient Empires is very hungry. A former MVP champion is wanting to cement his run at another chance here to get that second title in the Nuffle Challenge Series, because it would be a 3-0 showing for the Nagarath Bolts. The Dark Elf squad would score 3 touchdowns and then have a very strong defense to hold off the onslaught of the Skaven to grab second place here. 8 total league points, putting them in second place after week 6. Then we go on to a potential division shaking up matchup. That would be NBP Park Live, coached by fantastic Dr. J, up against the Haunting of Men with Jonah 2005 UK at the helm. That is a team that is yet to lose a game all season. They were 4-1-0 heading into this season, up against the 3-0-2 of fantastic Dr. J, who looked to shake up the division and set himself at also 8 league points, tying up second place. But that would not be the case in this game. Unfortunately for Dr. J, he got quite a drubbing there on the pitch. The undead are quite a bashy bunch of dudes. The mummies like to throw their weight around and knock your dudes out and maim your players. And that would kind of be the case here as the Orcs going up against the Undead get pushed around and shoved and bullied a bit on the pitch by the first place, not only first place in the league, but first place in the division team. The Haunting of Men will take a 2-0 win in there and further hold on to that lead with 11 total league points. That puts Dr. J down to 6 league points, but, there's still a possibility. Well, not necessarily for him, because the most points he could get was 4, which would bring him to 10. So he could play at the wild card. Fantastic Dr. J could here. With 2 wins, he could get up to 10 total league points, and we could see him in the wild card potentially. But he's going to need to grab 2 wins here in weeks 7 and 8. And that's going to be the shakedown there. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Is going to be sitting at 4 league points there. So we're not going to see them in the wild card or playoffs. They just don't have enough points to catch up. But much like Small and Mighty, they can play that spoiler game and try to get some SPP and gold and get prepped for next season. And then also potentially knock some of their division rivals out of the playoffs. That's the beauty of Blood Bowl, is seeing, your allies, I should say rivals, go down when you don't have those playoff spots. So we'll just have to see how the last 2 weeks shake out there in Ancient Empires. So that's going to square away all of Ancient Empires, Beheaded Kings and Cold Hearts, the Old World Conference there. Let's cover, I don't think I covered all of the standings for Cold Hearts, which was 10 points for JG and the Halloween Plebs, holding on to first place. Bubba Tattoo and the Polynear Keg Killers at 9 league points, holding on to second. That's going to come down to a showdown in week 8. Those two play week 8, and I think that division is definitely going to be who wins that game. We're going to see strong finishes by both of these teams here, and that'll be when we decide, who gets the dub and that playoff spot for Cold Hearts division. Damn Boy XD is at 5 points, and S130 South is also at 5 points. So we'll see these two teams play as well later in the season and kind of grab and establish third place here, because they're both pretty much mathematically eliminated from both wild card and playoff contention. So, building for next season for those guys there. But still, a fantastic showing by them. They have both of these teams have a lot of grit. Both of these coaches have a lot of grit. And I would love to see both of these teams back next season for Season 10. And I want to see them finish strong. I would love to see them upset their opponents in the coming weeks. Again, I'm all about the upsets here in NBP. And even when they happen to me, it is very unfortunate to get upset and very unfun at times. But for the spirit of competition and the excitement of the league, everybody loves to see a good upset now and then on the pitch. That's going to square away all of the Old World Conference. Let's move on over to the New World Conference, the USA division, so to speak, as I stay hydrated here. Okay, that's going to see Deep Dark. We'll start it off with Deep Dark over here in the New World, where we have last season's Snuffle Challenge Series champion, former commissioner, Kamakozy, the Discord admin, up against, that's Get Confident Stupid and his Lizard Men, up against DKM96, one of my good buddies for a long time, his Chaos Squad, Malevolent Malware. These two division rivals go head-to-head for what is arguably first place bragging rights here. The winner of this game was pretty much guaranteed Deep Dark division based on just math alone. Even, math alone, this was the game to grab the division spot. And there's still some hope, though, for DKM to still grab the division. But we're going to need some shenanigans to occur, I believe. Yeah, it's still possible because there's 2 weeks left, so there is just enough time to potentially shake up the division here. The last time these two teams met, Get Confident Stupid would win in a 1-0 victory after stopping a stall attempt that would have made it 1-1. He just didn't, Malevolent Malware didn't want to give the returning champions a whole lot of time left, so he attempted to stall out and make it 1-1 very late in the game, and a break tackle Lizard would come out and stop that. Now, this stall situation would not be the case in the second meeting of these two teams, as Get Confident Stupid was actually 2-0. They scored on both offense and defense. They scored early in the first half, and Malevolent Malware had a chance to tie it up 1-1 in the second half. or at the end of the first half, I should say. But Dice went cold on some pass attempts, and the ball would not make it into the end zone, and the half would end. And then the second half would begin, and Malevolent Malware would go on offense with a wizard in hand, but the Lizard squad would manage to get in and knock that ball loose and hold onto it and run it down to make it 2-0. So then late in the second half, with enough time to potentially tie it up and make it 2-2, Malevolent Malware run down and use their wizard. But they don't score fast enough. They just went for the holdout game. They just wanted that touchdown. They wanted to guarantee a touchdown and SPP and use the wizard and get it in and make it 2-1. And then we didn't get a riot or anything like that, so this is what we got. We got a 2-1 victory for Get Confident Stupid, and the two league points goes to the returning champions, setting them at 10 and first place, and then setting DK at 7 league points for second place. Then the next matchup was In the Shadows versus NWO. The Vampire team here managing to grab a second win on the season with a 2-1 victory up against the Chaos Squad. That's Shushnik and In the Shadows up against Cook 9000 and NWO, the Chaos Squad there. They got a good bunch of guys on both of those teams, and the Thrall were well behaved in this matchup as the In the Shadows managed to grab the 2-1 victory, putting them at 4 league points. And then Cook is at 1 league point still with his no wins, 1 draw, and 5 losses. So he is mathematically eliminated from both wildcard and playoff contention, whereas Shushnik could get up to, at most, 4 more points, putting him at 8, which potentially could get him a wildcard spot. So he is still in it, folks, even with 4 points. New World Conference is very, very tight this season. Looks like the camera is telling me I got 13 minutes left. I should be able to wrap it up in that time. Okay, that's the standings there for Deep Dark. Let's move on over to Saltworks now. We'll try to wrap up this episode before my camera cuts me off here. Only got so much time to cover this. Saltworks is going to see Blitz Among Us and God Zelos up against Morks Orcs. That's Fury of Anon taking on Morks Orcs, the 4-0-1 team, going up against the Vampires, which were 1-1-2. This was potential chance for the Vampires to make some space in their division. But the Orcs would manage to, crush these the Vampires. They came out and destroyed the Thrall and then left the team down to mostly Vampires, which then were also destroyed in the process. And the Morks Orcs scored twice in this one. 2-0 victory for the first place team here in Saltworks, holding on to first place with 10 total league points, setting their record to 5-0-1, and the Blitz Among Us to 1-1-3. That puts them at third place with 3 league points. Now we got Knockout Joe and Praise the Joe up against Joe Cole Jr., 13-13, and the Meat Men still looking for a win here. Only scored 1 touchdown all season, so still looking for a touchdown as well up against Praise the Joe, returning MVP veteran here, former Burtonian coach, former Goblin coach, played a lot of seasons as Goblin. But again, this is humans this time. Humans versus Chaos in this matchup, where we would have Praise the Joe also scoring twice in this and holding on to the second place by the skin of his teeth with his 2-2 in record after this matchup. They would get down and kind of have their way with the Chaos. Meatmen and Joe Cole here are debuting this season, and we've seen them making progress on the pitch, but we have not quite seen them get up to that winning position just yet. We're hoping they have time to build up this team or get some more reps in the off season, as they do have 0 league points, so they are mathematically eliminated from the playoffs with a possibility of only getting 4 at most with the following 2 weeks, but still more pro experience and more Blood Bowl experience for Joe Cole and the Meatmen here. That sets up Saltworks to be 6 total league points for Praise the Joe and second place, and then 0 total league points for the Meatmen. Still, again, a possibility for Praise the Joe and Knockout Joe to get 2 more league points, get him up to 8. But he could get up to 10. With 4 more league points in the coming 2 weeks, that'd get him up to 10 and have a possibility of winning a tiebreaker there for the Saltworks division title and the playoff spot. But as every other division, we got 2 more weeks here, so anything can happen in almost every division here. Last division of New World is going to be Tar and Feather division. The first game of the week in Tar and Feather was Thundercats FC up against Baphomets Bestowed. That is yours truly, wearing my team shirt this game. This is our team logo. This was a matchup that is almost a rivalry at this point. We've played several times over the last 2 seasons, 3 seasons I believe actually. And last time these 2 teams met on the pitch, the Thundercats won 2-0 up against Baphomets Bestowed. That would not be the case this time. The Thundercats would score in this matchup. I believe they scored early. I'm a little hazy on the details at this point, but I think they scored early, and then we saw Baphomets Bestowed scoring twice. We managed to score twice, once after the Wood Elves scored and once on our offensive drive, and make it 2-1. We got a 2-1 victory and making that series 1-1 there. Next week we got the Turf Pirates, and then after that we have the Cure in the final week of the season. That win grabs first place for us with 8 total league points, 3-2-1 total record. Thundercats have a 1-1-4 record with 3 total league points, which they are quite possibly eliminated from playoffs, maybe even wild card, because they only have 3 league points there. But then we have Turf Pirates and Rebel Knight taking on, that's the Chaos Dwarf team taking on Play Bear and the Cure. That is the Nurgle squad. 2 returning coaches here, both Tar and Feather alumnus playing head-to-head, the Battle of the Bash. The nasty, mutated teams going face-to-face in NBP Tar and Feather action. This would be a thriller. I watched most of this game, and this game was absolutely a fantastic game. Another game that should be watched on Cabal Vision or Twitch because it was streamed. It was a tough break for the Cure and Play Bear because they had a lot of opportunity until the dice started to go sour. We had a kick piece that is quite possibly the MVP of the entire game. That kick piece was on the Turf Pirates. The Turf Pirates scored at the end of the first half, tying it up 1-1. And then the Turf Pirates, no, actually I'm wrong on that. The Turf Pirates, I believe, would actually go into the second half down 1-0 after not scoring. And then in the second half, the kick piece would show his stuff and use that kick skill to his full advantage to pin the ball in the very back of the end zone up against the Cure, who would try to pick it up and not be able to do so. And then the Bull Centaurs would get back there, scoop up the ball, and score on 2 separate occasions in the second half. And then the Cure would get the ball with not a lot of time left, and they would not be able to push through and make it a 2-2 game. So the game ended 2-1 for the Turf Pirates. I believe I recounted that game right. If the game didn't end 1-1 at the half, they scored. If the game didn't end 0-1 at the half, they scored at the end of the first half. But I don't believe they did. I think both of those touchdowns were in the second half. The kicker on Turf Pirates is a player named Black Sam, named after a pirate. All the Turf Pirates are named after pirates, and they play Blood Bowl here in NBP. So that's going to square away Tar and Feather division. We got 5 minutes left on the cam, so we'll get this shut down real quick. I've covered most everything. Playoff watches, 8 total points in for Baphomets Bestowed. First place, Tar and Feather. 6 total league points. Second place is the Turf Pirates and Rebel Knight. And then third place, we got 3 league points, Swansea and Thundercats FC. And then finally, Play Bear and the Cure with 2 total league points. So 8-6-3-2 is the shakeup there. These teams still have to play 2 weeks. So Turf Pirates up against Baphomets Bestowed next week, and then the Cure and Thundercats up against each other next week. So still a possibility for almost everybody, I believe. The Cure could get a total of 6 league points and have a look at wild card. Whereas that would be 6 league points if they won their next 2 games. Whereas Swansea would be at 7 total league points and having a shot at wild card with 2 wins. And the Turf Pirates would be at 10 total league points with 2 wins in their next 2 games. So all of the divisions are very close at the top, and the wild card spots are very close in each conference as well. I may end up making a wild card chart later and getting it posted up in the Discord. But as for the Discord, these next brackets I'm going to mention are posted there already. As I have 4 minutes, let's try to wrap this up real quick. Top of the conference standings for Old World Conference. We'll just cover top 5. Jonah 2005 UK, the Haunting of Men. They're 5-1-0, 11 total league points. Second place, we got Pong Hines, Orion Magics, and the Beheaded Kings, 4-2-0, 10 total league points. Third place, JG, 1357, and the Halloween Plebs at a Cold Hearts. That's 5-0-1 for 10 total league points. Then we got Bubba Tattoo in fourth, the Pollinaire Keg Killers in the Cold Hearts Division, 4-1-1 with 9 total league points. And then 7th place last week, moving up to 5th place this week, former champion, Legend T 969 and the Niagara Bolts from the Ancient Empires. They are 3-2-1 for 8 total league points. So that is your top 5 out of the Old World Conference. In no particular order, right? We'll cover 6 through 12 in the Discord. That chart is in the Old World Conference Standings channel. So check it out there, guys. New World Conference Standings. Top 5 here. Last week, first place. This week, first again. Same with second place, too. Fury of Anon, Morks Orcs, Saltworks. They're 5-0-1 for 10 total league points. Now we have second place, Kamikoze, Get Confident Stupid, and Out of Deep Dark. 5-0-1, 10 total league points. Third place, fourth place last week. Yours truly and Baphomets Bestowed out of Tar and Feather. 3-2-1 for 8 total league points. Third place last week, fourth place this week. My buddy DKM96, Malevolent Malware in the Deep Dark. 3-1-2 for 7 total league points. That's fourth place. Then fifth place last week and this week, we got Rebel Knight and the Turf Pirates out of Tar and Feather divisions. 2-2-2 for 6 total league points. Now, let's go to league standings. For the top 5 out of the league, we have Old World Division kind of dominating here. They're dominating the top 10. Out of the top 10, 7 of them are Old World coaches. So New World needs to kind of step it up. We saw in the New World versus Old World games that Old World proved dominant this season. So, they've kind of got the edge here in the standings. But we'll just have to cover the top 5 here. Last week, first place. This week, first again. Jonah 2005, UK, Haunting of Men. We've already covered league points. We'll go on down the list. Rank 2 last week and this week, Pong Hines and Orion Magics. JG, 1357, the Halloween Plebs. Fury of Anon in fourth with Morks Orcs. And then fifth place, we have Kamikoze and Get Confident Stupid. So 3 of the top 5 are Old World. And then we have 2 more Old World guys. 3 more, 4 more. We have a total of, 6 Old World guys. 7 Old World guys in the top 10 compared to 3 New World coaches there. As with Old World and the league totals, if you want to see, and New World, of course, check their respective channels if you want to see the full 12-12, and then the general chat is where the league standings is. If you want to see those 3 charts, they're there in the Discord. Go check those out. And then, is there anything else left to cover? We'll cover what the playoffs would look like. I've got just enough time. What playoffs would look like if they started this week. We'd have Jonah 2005 in first seed of Old World Conference. We'd have Pong Hines in the... Actually, we'd have Pong Hines in the second seed coming out of Beheaded Kings division and the Orion Magics. And then we'd have JG 1357 in the Halloween Plebs coming out of Cold Hearts. And then the wild card would be Bubba Tattoo in the Pollinaire Keg Killers for 9 total league points. Out of New World, we'd have Kamikoze, Get Confident Stupid, in the second seed. Fury of Anon and Morks Orcs in the first seed. Let's flip those around. So first seed is Morks Orcs and Fury of Anon. Second seed, Kamikoze. Third seed would be Baphomets Bestowed and yours truly with 8 league points. And then the wild card would be DKM96 and Malevolent Malware. So that's the playoff watch. But again, 2 more weeks and 2 more games for all of these teams to play before we see the final results going into NBP. There will potentially be some situations where we're going to have to tiebreaker, and the tiebreaker itself is going to first go with your head-to-head matchup, and then if you didn't have a head-to-head matchup, I'm using the touchdown ratio on the chart, but if everybody agrees to it, I would love to see tiebreakers be settled. If a team, if the head-to-head matchup doesn't shake out the tie, I would love to see a res game between the 2 teams being played. So I will probably ask opinions on that in the Discord, because I think that's the ultimate tiebreaker. Instead of going down to paper and being like, well, they've got more SPP, they've got more touchdowns, this, that, they've caused more cats. Instead of all that, we just settle it on the pitch. Since if it's split 1-1, tiebreaker doesn't, would have to be played. Now, if they met before and one team is beat them twice and they still have the same amount of league points, it would go to the team that won twice, because, they already settled it on the pitch. But I would love to see teams, especially for the wild card, play a res game that's not going to count against their league total of games and injuries or anything, just to decide who gets that playoff spot. That would be a beautiful way to break ties. But if people object to that, we can go to the tiebreaker method of looking at it on paper. But I'm running out of time to record here. So if you liked this episode, thumbs up. If you hated it, thumbs down. If you got any comments, concerns, questions, or any current